All right, how you doing there, Dan? I'm trying to get my setup the way I like it and get the lighting the way you would like it. All right, hopefully that's pretty good. All right, in this video, I'm talking about our live lesson the other day, which we had, talking about stating the harmony. By the way, it's super cold in the house. I'm not even awake yet. I did have coffee, but it didn't make a difference. Hands are freezing. So don't expect any good playing. Anyway, so we'll go to the exact examples that we did in the live part. I'm going to go really slowly. And then in addition to that, I'm going to set up some other ones that we didn't talk about, just to kind of maybe have you think out of the box a little bit with it. All right, so let's get started. Maybe let me get this camera a little bit closer. See if I can do that without messing everything up. Probably not. All right, that might be a little bit better. And then obviously we want to turn this where you can see the neck. Yeah, that way. All righty, so the first thing is here in this B7 thing that we talked about, which is just a basic bar chord, B7. Obviously, all this works in any key. You already know that. And so the first thing we talked about was just kind of stating the harmony a little bit, maybe taking the root and the fifth as an example. You could do other tones. You could take the root and the seven. Sorry. You know, you have that option as well, but we'll go with root and fifth for now. So root 5, and then the third. Well, why did the third right away? Well, because we only stated the root and the fifth, so it could be minor. So we're trying to kind of establish, or again, state that harmony before we take off on our line, to have the third inclusive, letting the listener know, us as well, but the listener, that it is major. So what I did there, it's kind of a nice one. And again, you know, these are just kind of simple lines. You could kind of go nuts with it. But to get started, the fourth releasing to the third, right there. 6 bending into the flat 7. Or just to the third. And I'm thinking, you know, really dominant 7 that we talked about it, the Mixolydian guy. That stuff. So all right, so we'll stay with the B7 for a second, but I want to travel to a different place on the fingerboard here and take the root 5 version. So now we're looking at this chord, you know, regular B chord, dropping the second root down to the 7th, common voicing. And for this, we're going to really kind of try to do a neat thing here. So root 5th, 3rd again, or I can do the sus4, kind of moved down chromatically to the 7. And bent the 6 to the flat 7. That's a nice sound. I like that. Just that kind of thing. I just came up with that now, I guess. So anything that resembles that, I mean, your own lines, obviously, right? It's just to kind of give you a pathway. So the really neat thing I said we were going to do is kind of go. Now I'm inferring B7 to E minor. Sorry. So if you heard E minor, sorry. So that E minor sound, right, coming from the B7, doing it there, right? So that's B7. What did I just play? Even anything like that. So here we go. So let's leave that alone for the B7, but let's go back to the first position, well, the first one we did, and let's scramble a few things. And what I mean by that is, instead of, which we were doing, or let's maybe go from the 5th to the root, that type of thing. Again, the line that I'm playing after, if you want to copy them or whatever, that's perfectly fine. But they're not really supposed to be anything special. It's more the approach. So 5th, you can even, it's kind of nice. And so I'm just literally grabbing any note that's part of this Mixolydian thing and not going right to the 3rd as I did in the first example. I know you like that Phrygian pentatonic thing, so maybe like a, sorry, something nice like that, or anything that resembles that. So that's a way to mix that up, and of course that works with the E minor. Speaking of E minor, let's go to that now. I'm going to take just this plain old E minor, right? Oops. Told you I wasn't warmed up. Anyway, so one thing, same thing for the root fifth. So if I any and all of these, now, in addition, instead of going root 5 and then to the third, as one example, maybe we can go 5 root 5. Sorry. Even backwards, if you, that'll work as well, but we're trying to state the harmony first. So all that stuff's pretty cool. Pentatonic things will work, of course, any improvisational stuff. So that's kind of a way to flip that around. Now, another thing that we talked about, besides root 5 and 5 root, was to look at some of the inversions of these type of things. So I'm going to give you the minor one first, because in the lesson we talked about it and you had a clear understanding of it. But then I'm going to throw that onto the dominant, which we did not talk about in the real-time part of the lesson. Excuse me, Dan. So for the E minor, we could look at E minor and have its relative major, which is G major. So I'm staying on the same string set, which is important because we have to invert the chord properly. When I say properly, you can do it in any way you want, but to try to get the effect of the sound, right? We want, that's equally spacing each one of the notes. But before, I can show you that right now. Let's see. That's even without any kind of improvisational material. So more what I was trying to talk about here is you could that kind of thing where we are adding improvisational material. So or that's nice too. I just have the 7th in there now, the note D. So that can work great. So once again, or sorry. Kind of nice. So let's move the B7 like this. We'll start with the one down here. So you have the now we can or so this inversion or sorry. So just those large leaps. You can also bend into these, right? What I mean by that is instead of going straight, nothing wrong with that, but you can bend into it. Or so any of that is available. So I hope that that's kind of helpful and gives you some things to choose from. And of course, this can be done with other chord qualities. And so here's another. Here's kind of a cool one, a little different shape, right? So we'll let's see. So this is going to be the third. Sorry, B7. This is going to be the third. The root and the fifth up top. So that's E, B, D, A. Just kind of a little etude thing. So you can see that this can really go to a lot of places. That last example is just like using your imagination as if you were playing chords, you know, E to D. I'll go down this time. Stuff like that. And I went to minor that time, but all of these things are really kind of about outlining the harmony, stating the harmony, and what it does is it adds, I guess the word I'm looking for is it adds validity to the things that you play after it, the lines that you're playing after it. They just don't seem random. They seem like they maybe have more of a purpose. We're leading the listener. And I think maybe that's the strongest thing that I could say about this is your statements then become more meaningful and less random. There's a certain greatness about chaos and random type stuff, no doubt about it. But the organizational thing of understanding, you know, when you play over chord changes, and like as much as I hate to use this guy as an example, because I'm not really a big fan of him, although the band was great. So the band Journey, lots of great songs, lots of great stuff. It's, you know, definitely a marker mover as far as that type of music. But Neal Schon, which is the guitar player, if you're not familiar, I'm pretty sure you are. He had an uncanny knack for being able to really state the harmony well. Maybe not so much in this, you know, not so much in that way, perhaps, but in a way of playing over the changes more like some of the later stuff that I was doing where I went, that type stuff. He was quite adept at that. And those solos are, pretty singable type things. We also hear a lot of this stuff in the guitar playing on the Steely Dan records, which is, of course, a myriad of guys. You know all the what do they call those? The usual suspects. You know who they are, but you find a lot of that in there as well. And so, yeah, I'll close out so the video is not too long. But I hope this inspires you to kind of cut a path of your own with this being somewhere ever present in it to help that path along. So that's it, man. Enjoy.